Hey there, farmers. Hope you're all doing well. We're here in Emilia-Romagna, which is definitely the homeland of Italian fruit growing. Today, we're going to look at the results of an experimental research project called ADAPTER, which was funded by the Emilia-Romagna region and coordinated by Renova. In this study, we're going to look at all the different methods and how effective they are. So, I'd say let's try to better understand what the project is, and above all, let's look at a series of strategies that have been put in place.
Yes, ADAPTER is a PSP project funded by Emilia-Romagna with Aquacampus as the lead organization. The goal of the project is to provide operational and technical guidelines to professionals in the sector, from farmers to experts and technicians, for frost control, a phenomenon that is becoming increasingly important in this region and throughout Italy. The project has multiple specific objectives, both to study the interaction of plants with the environment and climate and to compare different means of protection. From the more traditional ones, like wind machines, anti-frost water systems above and below the canopy, to innovative methods like cryoprotectants and Kaolin.
But which fruits are most at risk, and what strategies have they put in place to protect them?
The apricot is among the first species to bloom in our region. This makes it particularly at risk of frost and therefore of crop loss for the fruit grower, because from the very beginning of the season there are no more fruits. One of the strategies we implemented in this project, specifically aimed at the apricot, was to make this species bloom a little later. To do this, we applied treatments with kaolin, a white clay with the aim of reflecting sunlight, especially in the months of January and February. The purpose of these treatments was that by reflecting the light, these buds stayed on average 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius cooler than the air. This means that potentially this is a useful treatment. Unfortunately, though, what happens is that the tree needs cold in the winter to reset its biological clocks and synchronize the start of a new growing season with spring. With winters that aren't too cold, as we're experiencing with climate change, this resetting of biological clocks no longer happens. And so, if it gets warm as early as February, like it did this year, we get a very early bloom. The first results of this test, precisely because they also depend on the weather conditions that winter, did not give us a positive confirmation of the method. We saw that we can cool, but if there were months before when these biological clocks weren't reset, the system didn't work. This doesn't mean that we won't continue trying to fine-tune it better, because it's a system that would have the advantages of low cost and ease of implementation. Because it's a treatment that you do with a standard air blast sprayer, and it takes very little time to do it. So we'll see how we can continue this line of research, also depending on the climate trends that will occur in the coming years.
Afterwards, we went to see another defense strategy at Aquacampus.
At Aquacampus, within the ADAPTER project, we are testing technologies for frost protection. In this case, as a means of protection, we used over-canopy frost protection irrigation carried out with different types of sprinklers. We start with the classic impact sprinklers and then also test mini sprinklers and microsprinklers, the latter used in different configurations. As for the impact sprinklers, they are the ones that have historically been able to deliver the highest precipitation rates. In areas where temperatures drop well below zero, these are practically necessary. However, in our areas where cold snaps almost never take temperatures 4 or 5 degrees below zero, it is possible to use systems with lower rainfall rates. The problem with rainfall rates arises from the fact that when we use anti-frost irrigation, the soils are often either saturated with water or have a fairly high soil moisture content. Since the system operates almost all night and delivers many liters of water per square meter, there is a risk that the plant roots will experience water stress, in this case, root asphyxia. For this reason, we work on irrigation efficiency, in this case, the efficiency of anti-frost irrigation, trying to reduce rainfall rates, save water, but at the same time ensure effective protection against the cold. Then we move on to systems with microsprinklers. There are microsprinklers that deliver water, and their spray overlaps with the next sprinkler. This is to ensure uniform distribution. In this case, a good uniformity of water delivery is achieved, however, the rainfall rates can still be high. Therefore, we moved towards systems that deliver water in a localized way, wetting only and exclusively the vegetation. So just to be clear, without wetting the space between the rows, with a wetting diameter of about 2 meters, and therefore only wetting the plant itself. In this case, you can save water and be more efficient. And we create an intermittent pattern so that there are stops during the night, brief stops within each minute of operation in order to prevent the system from freezing. In this case, still ensuring excellent irrigation efficiency, we then went on to test pulsed microsprinkler systems as well. In this case, the pulsing can be either instantaneous or intermittent. For the latter case, we reach even 1.8 meter or 2.3 m per hour, which in our areas are adequate for the types of frost we experience.
Here we are demonstrating another strategy for defending against late frosts. The approach is not new. It involves taking advantage of the latent heat that is released when water freezes. If water freezes on the flower doesn't go below zero thanks to this heat. Here we are using a system that has the ability to spray water in an extremely fine mist from above the tree canopy, so this mist falls, wets the plant, and the water freezes. We protect it. The concept is not new. The problem with this solution is that we don't have enough water to guarantee protection in the event of multiple frost events, especially if they happen on consecutive days. Furthermore, there's the problem that if we used larger volumes of water, this water would end up in the soil and become irrigation. But the plants need very little water right now. And if they receive too much of it, their development would focus on growing shoots at the expense of fruit growth. So there are agronomic and ecological reasons to test a solution like this, which does take advantage of the physical phenomenon I described. But by trying to use very little water so as to be more efficient and give us a chance to cover more nights economically. Don't you see them spread out yet? But there are rain covers that, in the event of a frost at a slightly later phenological stage, we would have deployed, and they would help us retain the heat in the orchard. Right now they are still closed because we are in the flowering stage and we respect the bees, and for their flight those covers have to stay closed, otherwise the bees would get disoriented and wouldn't be able to find their way back to their hive. But in 10 days the flowering will be over. We will be able to open them and then test both solutions together.
In the end, we went to the farm to see a series of strategies for protecting against late frosts.
We are evaluating defense systems such as the burners you can see behind me. The burners use the principle of phase transition, releasing heat and managing to raise the temperature around the plants. This helps limit the damage caused by frost. Within the project, in addition to mechanical burners, traditional pellet burners are also evaluated. These are basically small stoves filled with pellets made from various types of materials. And they are turned on at specific spots to ensure uniformity during the night. Among the various defense systems, in addition to the burners, we are evaluating wind machines. They use a different physical principle and rely on the physical principle of thermal inversion. Because, as we know, during radiative frosts, the air stratifies with the coldest area at the base of the plant. Based on this principle, the wind machine has different heights depending on whether it is a tractor-mounted or a fixed machine. Generally, fixed wind machines have heights of about 10 to 12 meters. They bring the warmer air down, mitigating the temperatures. Still within the project, we are also evaluating water-based systems. These systems rely on the fact that when water changes from liquid to solid, it releases about 80 calories of heat. This heat allows the plants and plant organs not to freeze. This helps prevent damage from late frost. We have other more innovative systems like IMED, which is a prototype that uses LPG and converts it into water vapor. Again, based on the principle of radiation, this prevents the soil from losing heat to the atmosphere. Testing for each protection method involves measuring temperatures inside and outside the orchard. Inside the orchard, the protection method will be used, while the area outside the orchard will serve as the control, where no protection methods will be applied. We will look at the temperature difference created by the protection methods, which will hopefully allow us to protect the plants from frost damage. Within the project, we have created and will update technical guidance on using frost protection methods. These notes are available for free on our website.
As you might have guessed, the project is really complex. Today we try to outline the main points. Just a reminder, there's a link to the website below in the description where you can find all the documentation and where you can get detailed information, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Just a reminder, the comments section is below if you have any questions or if you want to share your thoughts. What do you use to protect your fruit plants in this season? Write it below in the comments. See you in the next video. Bye everyone.
Hi everyone, hi.